In the quiet, rolling landscapes of 17th century Leicestershire, the village of Ibstock seemed a picture of rural peace. But beneath the morning mists of 1684, a darkness was brewing. This is the story of Elizabeth Ridgeway, a woman whose name would become synonymous with betrayal and the cold, calculated art of the poisoner. To her neighbors, she was a simple servant girl, diligent and quiet. She moved through the shadows of drafty cottages, performing her chores with a silent, eerie precision. On February 1st, 1684, Elizabeth entered into a holy union with Thomas Ridgeway, a local tailor. It should have been a day of celebration for the couple, but the marriage was cursed from the start. Behind the closed doors of their modest home, Elizabeth was already preparing a lethal recipe for her new husband. In the flickering shadows of the hearth, she stirred a gritty white substance into a bowl of thick broth. It was white mercury, tasteless, odorless, and deadly. Thomas soon fell into a state of agonizing illness. He clutched his stomach, his body racked by spasms that no physician in the village could explain or cure. As Thomas suffered, Elizabeth watched. She stood in the doorway, a silent specter, observing the slow progress of the poison with a gaze that revealed nothing. Thomas's death was not an isolated tragedy. Investigators would soon discover a horrific pattern of poison that stretched back through Elizabeth's life like a trail of ash. Years earlier, a fellow servant had died under mysterious circumstances while working alongside Elizabeth. No one suspected the quiet girl at the time. Then came the death of her own mother. The woman who brought her into the world was taken out of it by Elizabeth's hand, following a short, violent sickness. Even her former lover, John King, could not escape her malice. He was yet another victim in her quest for a terrifying control over the lives of others. The common thread in all these deaths was the residue, the telltale signs of arsenic and mercury that Elizabeth had mastered using with such lethal efficiency. Justice in the 17th century often relied on superstition. To prove her guilt, the local authorities turned to a macabre ritual known as cruentation, or the ordeal of touch. Elizabeth was brought before the lifeless body of Thomas. She was commanded to touch his skin, for it was believed a victim's body would bleed in the presence of its murderer. Witnesses claimed that as her fingers brushed his flesh, Thomas's wounds began to weep fresh blood. To the onlookers, it was the ultimate divine confirmation of her crimes. Arrested and thrown into a damp stone cell, Elizabeth's resolve finally broke. She confessed to the magistrates, recounting her long history of poisonings with chilling indifference. The sentence for such a heinous crime was death by fire. She was taken to Leicester, where a judgmental crowd gathered to witness the end of the poisoner of Ibstock. Bound to a wooden stake, she stood tall against the darkening sky. The air was thick with the scent of damp wood and the looming promise of judgment. As the torches were applied, the flames rose quickly. The life of the woman who had dealt death in secret was ended in the most public and painful of ways. The fire consumed the evidence of her physical form, but the documents detailing her trials and confessions survived, preserved as a warning for future generations. Elizabeth Ridgeway remains a haunting figure in English history, a reminder that the most lethal poisons are often delivered with a steady hand and a silent heart. Her story ends in the ashes of the 17th century, yet her legacy of darkness continues to fascinate and terrify those who look back into the shadows of the past.